All right, 88% of you have voted in our poll, which is exciting. I am going to go ahead and end that now. And then I will share the results out. As we can see, most of you are in the 11th grade. We do have every grade represented across all four high school or secondary grades. The regionality is actually kind of spread out. So Midwest, Southeast, Northeast, and the West are the most represented, with a few students joining us from Southwest and from international countries. And then if this is your first STARS event, a little over half of you said yes, which is exciting. Welcome. We're glad that you are here. And a little under half of you said no, which means you all enjoyed your last STARS event so much you wanted to come back and spend your evening with us here. So thank you all for doing that little poll for us. Thank you for joining us this evening on our very first STARS virtual panel of 2025. This is about summer programs happening on all of our campuses. And so we will go ahead and do some introductions up next, so you know who is in the room and who is joining you. So I will pass it off to my colleague Margie first.
Hello, welcome. Hi, everyone. It is great to see you. Happy New Year. Happy 2025. My name is Marjorie Batley. I am a Deputy Director of Admissions at the University of Chicago. I am also the Executive Director of our STARS College Network. So I get to work with all these wonderful colleagues and help host fly-ins and summer programs and a lot of the different programs that we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to turn it over to my friend John Palmer at Vanderbilt.
Thanks, Margie. Hey, y'all. My name's John Palmer Ray, Associate Director of Admissions at Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm excited to be with y'all, and I'll turn it over to Kelsey next.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight. My name is Kelsey Olson. I'm a Senior Assistant Director of Admission and Rural Student Initiatives at Northwestern University. And I'll pass it over to Dakota at WashU.
Yeah, I am Dakota Scarlett. I'm the Associate Director for Rural Recruitment at WashU. So like my colleagues here, I lead WashU's Rural Initiatives team. And I'll pass it off to Brittany.
Last but not least, good evening, everyone. My name is Brittany Stubblefield. I am the College Access Program Director at the University of South Carolina, Columbia.
Awesome. So for those of you that are just joining us for the first time, I know a little over half of you are. This is the STARS College Network. STARS stands for Small Town and Rural Students College Network. We are a consortium of 32 leading colleges and universities across the country. All of those schools are on this slide, who are dedicated to increasing college access for rural students and students from rural and small town backgrounds. As you can see here, we have private and public institutions. We have institutions from every region of the country, from the Pacific Northwest down to the Southeast, from New England all the way down to the Southwest, and all throughout the Midwest as well. As you can see here, all of our schools are very different. We all offer different majors, different programs, different student body types and sizes, etc. And so the hope is that within all of our 32 schools, there is an option for every rural student out there. And if not, then hopefully we can help you through webinars like this, learn how to apply to colleges like ours to find the right fit for you. So with that being said, the STARS College Network, we have 4 pillars. The first one is meeting students where they are and going to students. So we travel to rural and small town communities all across the country. All of our schools travel to these rural and small town communities. A lot of times we travel together in group trips or individually on our own, but meeting students where they are, going to their small town high schools and rural communities is very important to us. We also bring students to us. It's one of the best parts of what we do. We bring students to campuses on our STARS campuses for free programs. So free means free. We fly students there. We reimburse mileage. We pay for overnight housing, materials, food. It's a great way for rural students to learn what college is like and if that particular college is right for them. We also meet in the middle like this with virtual college access and affordability programming. As I mentioned, we host a different virtual panel every month out of the year for folks to ask us questions, learn about our programs, learn about college admissions, etc. And lastly, kind of a new pillar for us is these new opportunities for internships and to engage. We believe that being able to engage with rural communities in your home community while you're in college and beyond is crucial to the identity of a rural student. And so we have a two-way road to have both rural and urban students engage with rural communities through internships, externships, etc., while they are in college. And so we want students to bring their skills and experiences back to their hometown through ambassador programs. And if they're an urban student that wants to learn more about rural America as well, they can also bring their skills and assets with them to rural communities. So hopefully that helps you kind of get a baseline of what the STARS College Network is, who we are, and what we do. And I'll now pass it off to my colleague Kelsey at Northwestern.
Awesome. Thank you, Dakota. So we are all here tonight to talk about spring and summer programs. And we thought a great way to kind of kick us off into talking about this topic is to introduce the idea of pre-college programs. And if you're sitting there wondering, what is a pre-college program? I've never heard of this before. I don't know what a drive-in is. I've never heard of a fly-in. That's completely okay. In full transparency, I had no idea what these were whenever I was going through my own college admissions process. I grew up in a very rural area of Southwest Missouri and just had no idea. So that's why we do webinars like this. So whether you are, very familiar with what a pre-college program looks like, or you're just kind of dipping your toes into the idea of attending one, hopefully, you can take something of value from our webinar tonight. So what is a pre-college program? The easiest way to think about this is to think of these programs kind of as an academic summer camp that is hosted on a college campus. These programs can really vary in length. Sometimes they're just one day, sometimes they're a few days, sometimes they can be up to a week. So they can look pretty different depending on the institution that you are attending the program at. Typically, there is some sort of academic component to a pre-college program. So you may be taking college level coursework. You may be taking one class while you're there. If it's a longer program, you could be interacting with faculty. So this is kind of one connecting factor across a lot of pre-college programs you might be considering. Although I would venture to say that if you were to attend a pre-college program at any of our institutions, while there may be similarities, you'd probably find something different at each of them. So pre-college programs are a great way for you to kind of test drive the college experience at a given institution. It can really help you sort out what you're looking for in an institution. It could help you sort out something you thought you were looking for, but maybe you don't actually want anymore. So there can be a lot of benefits to attending programs like this. Typically, these programs will include a residential component if they are asking you to stay overnight. So you could be staying on campus in a residence hall. You could be staying in a hotel on a college campus. Sometimes you could even be staying at a hotel near the campus. So it kind of just depends what the institution is offering, but typically housing will be included if you are being asked to stay overnight. We mentioned the academic components earlier through potential college level coursework. There may be workshops for you to attend, and then typically there may be excursions for you to participate in as well as part of a pre-college program, all to kind of help you get a feel of what it would be like to be a college student at that particular campus. A common misconception about pre-college programs is that they are just for seniors, and that's not the case. Whether you're a junior, even if you're a freshman or a sophomore, I know there were some freshmen on the call tonight. A pre-college program is something that you are able to participate in as well. So just keep an eye on the details for those particular programs and what the eligibility requirements are, because you certainly can participate regardless of what level of high school you're in, depending on the institution. One other thing I'll note as well is that if you are feeling a little bit hesitant because of finances in participating in some of these programs, many institutions may offer travel stipends for you to come to the program, or other scholarships that can help cover costs. Some institutions may fully cover the pre-college program up front, and you don't have to pay for anything. So again, just a good idea to kind of pay attention to those details and really understand what is being offered to you as you are considering a pre-college program. There's a lot of different terminology and types of pre-college programs you may come across. They could be in the form of visit days. You could see the terms fly-in or drive-in, which is where an institution may be flying students in for the program, or they may be hosting the event more locally and have students drive into the campus. These programs could be exclusively summer programs, and some pre-college programs are actually offered through college access organizations. So those are a few of the more common types of programs and terminology that you'll see. On the screen, you'll actually see a breakdown of some of the upcoming summer pre-college programs for 2025 through the STARS College Network. I'm not going to go through every single one, but just to point out some of the nuance in what we just talked about. Rural student preview days at Auburn, that's going to be probably more like a visit day. And then you have summer scholars at Notre Dame and Vanderbilt Summer Academy. Those are probably going to be exclusively in the summer and maybe more of a long-term, maybe a week-long program. So it's just important to kind of see exactly what these programs are offering to you. UChicago Emerging Rural Leaders, which Margie will talk about a bit later, is offered for 9th, 10th, and 11th graders, which is really cool. So again, just keep your eye out for all of these upcoming opportunities and pay attention to what they're offering to you. And if you're wondering where you can find these opportunities, you can go to the STARS College Network website. This website is updated weekly with different upcoming events. So here's an example of what the website looks like with Yale Young Global Scholars, WashU Rural Scholars Academy, and Vanderbilt Summer Academy. They're all right there for you to look through and potentially apply for. So that's a great place to look right off the bat. And thank you, Dakota, for popping that link into the chat. So I'll actually pass it over to Margie so she can kick us off and talking a little bit more specifically about some of these programs.
Thank you so much, Kelsey. Perfect. I'm going to be talking about two programs tonight, Yale Young Global Scholars and Emerging World Leaders at the University of Chicago. We want to kind of walk you through all the details. And I did see a question in the chat. Are these programs really free? Yes, they are. And we're going to talk about how the different schools will cover the costs for you when it comes to these programs. So Yale Young Global Scholars is a really good example. It is open to current 10th and 11th graders. So this is another thing to keep in the back of your mind as you start looking at these things, especially when we're talking about summer programs. The application process for those summer programs is right now for a lot of them. So even if you see like rising seniors, rising juniors, rising sophomores, whatever that is, they're talking about like that summer before you start said year, which means like if you are a current 10th grader, you're a rising junior for this program. But the application process happens when you are still a sophomore, when you're still in 10th grade. So it can get confusing sometimes. You're going to see current 10th grade, sophomores, rising juniors. You're going to see a lot of terminology. Just keep in mind, like this, for summer programs specifically, they're asking for current 10th and 11th graders to be applying. So if you are within that category, congratulations, you can apply to this. This is one of the longer programs. It is a 2-week-long program, and it obviously happens at Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut. This is also the deadline that's coming up the soonest. January 10th is their regular decision application deadline. If you are a 9th or younger, right, consider next summer too. You have that opportunity, especially if you are a 10th grader who applies this year, you don't get in. This is a huge competitive program. You could then again apply as an 11th grader next year. That is totally fine. The way that Yale Young Global Scholars works is you receive a STARS scholarship that covers the full cost of your tuition, room and board, meals while you are there. So it is a full scholarship. And then you can also apply for a need-based financial aid that will cover the cost of travel to and from the program. So those are the components that you're going to see when we talk about financial aid and scholarships. It's going to be things like tuition, room and board, meals, or additional meals, excursions, and then travel to and from that campus. Depending on how the school has it set up, the scholarship will cover almost all of those costs. Travel costs tend to be the wild card when we talk about some of these programs. Yes, coming up soon, January 10th. If you haven't started the application process, get that started now. And again, if you are a 10th grader, you get 2 opportunities to try and apply for this one, either this year or next year. Now, Emerging World Leaders at UChicago is for current high school freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. So we host 3 different one-week programs. One is for current freshmen, one's for current sophomores, and one's for current juniors. So you are in a cohort of students who are all from rural and small town areas and who are all in the same grade as you. So again, a little different than Yale Young Global Scholars, where you apply generally to these different academic tracks, and you're going to be integrated into those tracks with a bunch of other students from all over the world, really. For Emerging World Leaders, we do a cohort-based model where you're going to be with students from rural and small town high schools across the US, including Alaska and Hawaii and Guam. And it's a really great opportunity for you to get to know other students who come from very similar backgrounds. You'll see the dates on there. These pretty much all happen in July for us, but the application is open now and due by March 5th. This is a really common timeline. I know it's the middle of winter and it is super cold right now. Most people aren't thinking about summer, but now is the time to start thinking about summer. So you get a really wide variety of different kinds of classes and tracks for this. It is a little less academically intense, I would say, than Yale Young Global Scholars. Yale Young Global Scholars, you are in class all day, every day, pretty much. For Emerging World Leaders, it is a little more of you're in class in the mornings often, and the afternoons are almost all excursions, getting to know each other, going to try out deep dish pizza, go to an improv show, go to an architecture boat tour. Afternoons are kind of like the fun stuff, and mornings are more of the classroom, which class is also fun. So we give them that. So yeah, lots of different kinds of programs, trying to find the one that you're most interested in. Do you want to dive really deep into one subject for your summer program? Or do you want something a little broader, kind of want to see the breadth of what's available out there? Different programs, different fits for different students. So I am going to turn it over back to Dakota and my friend at WashU to talk a little bit about their summer program, WashU Rural Scholars Academy.
Yeah, thank you, Margie, and hello again, everyone. So at WashU, we have a program very similar to what UChicago offers to an extent. Ours is the WashU Rural Scholars Academy. It is for rising juniors. So as Margie just explained a minute ago, that is current sophomores. So if you're a current sophomore on the call, our program is for you. Our program is a week-long program, Sunday to Saturday, happening in mid-July. The dates are right there, July 13th through July 19th. You will live on our campus in the city of St. Louis. You will take an 8-hour course with WashU faculty. Of the 3 so far, it's probably the less academic one. It's not for credit. It's not a lot of time. It's just 2 hours a day during the week. It is a class, it's called Design Thinking. It's a class all about how to have fun and engage with whatever field you want to study in a fun, unique manner. Students get to design a brand new structure to put on our campus somewhere, like a playground or a carousel. Students built this really fun hammock in the middle of the spiral staircase for theirs. It was really fun, but there's no homework, very chill, a great way to kind of learn what college classes are like in a very low-key atmosphere. You will also learn about how to apply to a place like WashU or any of our schools through college admission seminars, where my team and I will walk you through how to write an essay, how to craft your activities list, how to start asking for letters of recommendation, or what classes to take your junior year or your senior year for a certain major, etc. And then lastly, you also explore St. Louis and WashU with your peers and rural peer ambassadors. We actually hire current rural students studying at WashU who are from rural small town backgrounds to come back and live with you for a week in the residence halls on campus. They take you out to St. Louis Arch, the city foundry down there in the bottom right picture. Then we do a block party on campus. We go do dessert at our vice chancellor's house right off campus. So great way to learn about WashU, St. Louis, and how to apply to our schools. Our program is just for rural students. So you are just with about 40 other students from rural communities all across the country. You get to take this fun group photo there, the top picture that we mail to you every fall. And so you're able to kind of connect over your rural identities, and you are with a small, tight-knit community on our campus. So applications are currently open. They close March 1st. So if you are a current sophomore, please apply by March 1st. And if you're a first year or a freshman in high school, please keep on your radar to check back in with us late next fall. Thank you, and I'll pass it over now to, I think, Kelsey at Northwestern.
Yeah, thanks, Dakota. Our program at Northwestern, the official name is Small Town and Rural Teen University Prep Innovation Intensive. So for short, we call it START-UP. And this name is actually very fitting, I think, because we host our pre-college summer fly-in conjunction with the Garage, which is a center on Northwestern's campus that really serves as the hub for innovation on campus as well as student entrepreneurship. So this center is essentially our maker space on campus. There's a lot of different types of prototyping equipment in this maker space. So anything from like VR headsets, 3D printing machines, anything that you can kind of tinker with and create, you can find in the Garage. And it's a really cool resource for us to have on Northwestern's campus, but even more cool, I think, that we in the admissions office get to partner with them to host our fly-in. So our program is a little bit shorter, I think, than the other programs that have been mentioned. Ours is a 3-day program at the end of June. This year, it will be June 26th through June 28th, and it is for rising seniors. So for any of you who are currently in 11th grade on the call and will be a rising senior this summer, this is a program that you can apply for. Our program is a residential program as well, so you are staying on Northwestern's campus in a dorm on our campus in Evanston. As I just mentioned, 1 full day of the program will be spent at the Garage. So there's not necessarily a class that you're taking or any college credit that you're earning through our program, but you are getting to spend the day as if you were a student, potentially, creating a startup company at the Garage. So you'll be engaging with staff at the Garage as well as current Northwestern students who utilize that space on a daily basis. Similarly to WashU, we will also host workshops about the college admissions process at Northwestern, as well as our financial aid process. And then similar to Margie at UChicago, we also have time built in so that you can explore your home base of Evanston and our Evanston campus. But we also take our startup students into the city of Chicago. This past summer, we took our students to the Willis Tower, up to the Sky Deck. Then we might do something similar this year. We haven't quite figured out what we're going to do, but exploring Chicago is part of our program as well. Applications are not quite open just yet for us. They are slated to open next week, so very soon. And the deadline for those will be March 15th. One last thing I'll mention about our program as well is that it is fully funded. So Northwestern covers your travel to and from campus. We cover your meals as part of the program, and then we also cover your accommodation as well. So there is no cost to you as a participant with Startup. And thank you, Dakota, for throwing that link into the chat. I'll hand it over to John Palmer at Vanderbilt to talk about Vanderbilt Summer Academy.
Thanks, Kelsey. I will highlight one more university-specific program, and then we'll kind of zoom out a little bit and talk more about the application process and just some other kind of final tips before we get to the questions that I know that y'all have for us. Vanderbilt Summer Academy is, of everything we've talked about today, most similar to Yale's program that Margie was talking about earlier. So this is an academic summer intensive program that's run by our Peabody College of Education and Human Development. So not run by the admissions office, but we are partnering with them to sponsor about 10 to 12 students who are from rural or small town areas to completely cover everything. So we'll cover your tuition for the program and, of course, all travel expenses and all of that as well. A little bit of info on the program. It's available for rising 9th graders through 12th graders. So like Margie said earlier, if you are currently 8th grade through 11th grade, you would be eligible for one of these programs. We offer some 1-week program options and also a 2-week program option as well. Great experiences with this. You are getting very much a fully immersive academic experience. You choose one type of course, if you will, that you study for the duration of that week or 2 weeks. And when I say immersive and intensive, I mean that fully. It's about 6 hours of classes each day. And if you do that 2 week program, of course, some fun stuff that's happening on the weekend and fun stuff that you're doing during your downtime. A part of what students love about it is that you are getting that fully residential experience. You're living over in what we call the Commons, which is where all first-year students live on campus, and that's located on the east side of our campus. You are learning from Vanderbilt faculty members. I was looking up some of the courses the other day, and it really spans the gamut of whatever your interests may be. Everything from like law school 101, med school 101. There's a witchcraft class, which sounds very interesting. I would love to take that class. There's like an intro to songwriting and creativity, truly a little bit of everything for anyone. But again, you're getting that immersive experience in one kind of subject area for the duration of that week or 2 weeks. Since this is more of a general program, you won't just have students that are from rural areas that are a part of this program. You'll get to interact with students from across the country, across the world, from all different types of backgrounds as well. The priority window is currently open and it will close on January 14th. So we're one of those programs where if you're interested, definitely consider applying soon. However, if you get around to applying after the 14th, no worries whatsoever. A lot of students are accepted through the general rolling admissions window, and you are eligible for the STARS scholarship for VSA, regardless of if you apply for the priority deadline or for the general rolling admissions window. So again, a little bit similar to kind of Yale's program that we were talking about earlier. So let's zoom out from there. We've talked about the specifics of some summer programs, but want to give you some thoughts or tips or advice as you pursue applying towards these programs. And maybe even just that word in and of itself, application, maybe stresses you out a little bit. I remember whenever I was in high school, the idea of applying into something was really exciting, but also it feels a little foreign at the same time. This is kind of like a baby college application in some ways, depending on what the program wants for you. That's one really big asterisk to go with applying towards any of the programs that we've talked about or the additional flying and driving programs that we'll talk about in the future. You'll see some institutions that have some really specific things that they want from you. Others, it may be more of kind of a form of general interest, but we've detailed out here kind of some general things that you can expect when you're applying to some of these summer programs. First off, academic achievements. This is kind of the cornerstone of what will be your college application, certainly the cornerstone of applying into one of these summer programs. This will include everything from your GPA, the trends of your courses as well. So are you continuing to take more challenging courses and doing well within those courses as well? They may be most interested in your most recent grades or your most recent year. What types of courses did you take? And again, how did you perform within those courses? There may be some programs that ask for test scores. Usually they'll note whether they're test optional or not. So definitely look at any guidance that's provided by the school kind of on that application. But test scores, of course, if a school's test optional, generally, if you have a great test score, it can enhance your application. But if you apply test optional, generally that does not hurt your application. But again, look at the specifics on each of those schools' websites. We know that you are a lot more than just an academic powerhouse, so we're really interested in what you're doing outside the classroom. So let us know all of those activities. And this may be the first time that you've really sat down and thought about, okay, what do I actually do outside the classroom? And don't sell yourself short. Let us know, yes, those things that you're doing through your school, any clubs of activities, but think about things that you're doing outside of the classroom. Do you have family responsibilities? Do you have a part-time job? Do you do something with your religious community, with your general area? Think about all of that. Let us know. That gets an idea, gives us an idea of your general interests and kind of how you like to spend your time outside of the classroom. There will be schools that ask for recommendations or for references or maybe nominations, either from a teacher at your school or maybe a counselor at your school as well. Those are great because they give us some additional insight from an adult that's with you all the time about how you perform within the classroom and how you interact with other people. And writing samples, it's a great way for us to understand where you're at within your current academic growth. That may be specific short answers or essays that we have. That also may be graded essays that you've turned in for some type of course already in high school that we can see how you've performed within those classes. So you've submitted. What's next? Of course, you've got about 3 different decisions you can probably expect. Hopefully, fingers crossed, you're admitted to at least one program that you're applying into. Make sure that you're looking at the details of that acceptance letter or that acceptance email. We are usually asking for some logistical things from you. So celebrate for a moment, get excited, but then we may need to know things to start booking travel or making reservations, things along that line. So make sure that you're looking at all the details for any forms or deadlines that are coming up. Maybe you have been waitlisted with the program. Totally fine. That university may give you an idea of when they will officially kind of close that incoming cohort for the summer, or just let you know kind of a general idea of what to expect for those coming days or weeks. And like Margie was talking about a little bit earlier, if you aren't accepted into a program, do not fret whatsoever. There are tons of different program options for you. And not being accepted into a summer program has nothing to do with how you may perform on your college application to that institution or other institutions in the future. So don't worry about it at all, and know that there are lots of other program options for you that are out there. Kind of talking about that, let's talk a little bit about fly-in and drive-in programs. These are things that Kelsey, I think, mentioned it very briefly a little bit earlier, but really good for you to kind of put on your radar. This is another way that you can experience institutions, but maybe not as intensely as far as the amount of time that you're spending as some of these summer programs that we're talking about. So maybe you're looking to do just a couple of days or maybe just a day with an institution. Consider one of these fly-in or drive-in programs. This is typically a multi-day residential experience. A drive-in program may be shorter, may just be a day or a half of a day, but it's really designed that you can get kind of a good intensive glimpse at that institution for a couple of days. The host university will typically cover the cost of your travel to and from their campus, your meals, and your housing if it is an overnight program, like everything that we've been talking about earlier. As Margie so simply put it, free is free, and we certainly mean that whenever we're talking about these free programs. There's a chance that you may be staying on campus in residential halls. Some institutions also have you stay at a hotel near campus. You are still getting a great experience with those, and sometimes even better because you're able to experience a little bit more of the surrounding neighborhood. This is a great way for you to quickly explore a new school. I hear students, we at Vanderbilt offer a drive-in program in November, who are so surprised it's just a one-day program at the amount of new people that they meet and friendships that they make during these programs too. So yes, it is great learning about an institution. Usually it's a lot of great learning about the application process, but also an incredible way for you to connect with students that are from rural and small towns that you don't know. Every rural place is different. This is a great way to see that. And here on the screen, you'll see a variety of different member institutions that are offering programs from March through November. And I would, if I was a betting man, I would bet on the fact that we'll probably have a couple more that pop up in the upcoming months as well. So definitely think of those fly-in and drive-in programs. As those registrations are available, those will be on the STARS event page website. So just as you're thinking about different program options that are out there, if you're wondering where can I go to learn about things in a few months, always go back to that STARS website and you'll be able to see more info on that. With that, I'm going to pass things over to Brittany at South Carolina to talk about visit days and open houses.
Thanks, John. Hey, everyone. So we talked a lot about different programs, drive-ins, fly-ins, different summer programs, but also there's simple visit days that you can also take advantage of and open houses. I like to think of it finding your fit. You can never, it's like the Cinderella, finding the perfect fit for you. Visiting different universities and colleges is the best way to see what is the best thing, either academically, financially, environmental, Like, I am a summer weather girl. I hate the cold weather. So doing something that's during the visit, visiting a college during a visit day or an open house is a great way. The way that you can find out if a school offers even a simple visit day or open houses is joining the mailing list. Typing in University of South Carolina and then joining the mailing list will send you a bunch of communications along with my other colleagues. Their institutions will as well, letting you know about upcoming events that we'll be hosting on campus, and they're open to everyone. So there's no minimum age or grade level. Typically they're open for everyone and they're free. Some institutions, I will iterate, some institutions will offer some type of travel stipend for you all to be able to visit campus. But this is a great way just to see what campus is like on a day-to-day basis. Some of the drive-ins or fly-ins are happening over maybe a spring break or the summer break. So campus can be seen kind of not as realistic as you would see it during a fall or a spring. So if you come visit a campus during a fall semester or a spring semester, you can see the hustle and bustle of current students walking around on campus, or visiting the dining hall just to see what a real life of a student will be. During these visit days or option days, you'll get a campus tour. You have an option to meet with professors or other academic departments. You can be a part of any specialized panels if you're interested in studying abroad, which is something I wish I took advantage of in my undergraduate days. Also learning about internship, co-ops, and if you have research opportunities, if you're interested in those things, you have a lot of different ways to get involved on campus of coming into a visit day or an open house. I will make sure join that mailing list. And if you haven't already, I highly encourage you to go ahead and make a separate email just for your college search. So do not use your school emails. Sometimes getting through that school firewall, if you haven't noticed already, that you will block any emails that you may get from any of my STARS Network colleagues or any other college that you're looking for. Go ahead and make a simple email, brittany.stubblefield@yahoo. So that way that you can get all your information in one spot and not having 50 billion emails in one spot. Again, most of these fall open houses or visit days are happening during the fall or spring semester. Some institutions will offer this for juniors, like a specific day for juniors and maybe a specific day for seniors. Some institutions will have it if you're a specific day, if you're interested in becoming an engineering major. They have different days or open houses just for specific departments. So again, have fun. This is the best time. It may seem very stressful, as you may think. You're like, Brittany, this is not fun. You talking about applications, you talking about I have to find my fit, but it's simply the best time. Finding what works for you and in your family. Again, thinking about what works. But also keep in mind eligibility, age, your region, your academic interests. Some colleges may not have the major that you're interested in, or they may have a major that you never even thought of. So keeping that in mind as well. Also think about any of our fly-in, drive-ins, or any summer programs or open house days, any required materials. So any nominations, transcripts, short answers. So just go ahead, and I would personally just have a copy of your unofficial transcript on hand. Sometimes getting with your counselors can be kind of time consuming because counselors have a lot to do. And so just going ahead at the beginning of each semester, hey, can I have an updated copy of my transcript? So when you're applying for these programs, like one that's going to close on the 10th, you already have your transcript already handy for you, so you don't have to rush around to find that. Also thinking about the length and the time of the year, be cautious and mindful of what your extracurricular activities that you have going on, any family obligations. Sometimes you want to do everything, but we can't. So you have to be mindful of all the things that you have going on, and be mindful of either potential costs or scholarships opportunities as well to be a part of any of the summer programs or drive-ins, fly-ins, etc. So be mindful of deadlines. If you don't have Google Calendar or have a calendar on your phone, that is the best way to keep up with deadlines in that asset. As well, according with my institution and other institutions, we partner up with pre-college organizations that are specifically targeted for high school students. So if your high school is involved with Gear Up, Trio, QuestBridge, get involved with them, experience, see how you can get involved. They do offer a lot of college tours. A lot of colleges are right in your backyard, are coming within your state that you can see. You're like, I don't want to fly, but I would love to do a drive-in, and getting with your counselor somewhere through your Trio program or even through a community partner can help you there as well. With that, I will close it back out to Dakota. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for staying with us through this presentation. Hopefully learned quite a bit about the different amazing fly-in and drive-in programs we have on our campuses. We have some great questions coming in. Thank you all for those amazing questions. A few of them we have answered directly into the chat. There are a few we are going to save to answer live. I'm going to pass the first one over to Kelsey, actually. Will any of these summer programs bolster college applications? And if so, how will they help us with applying to college?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think, and I don't want to speak for everyone's application review process, because I think that can look very different depending on the institution and what they may or may not take into consideration as they are reviewing an application for admission. But I think the biggest benefit that can be found, I guess, through programs like this is going to be for yourself in terms of deciding, what type of institution is going to be the best fit for you. I think these programs are a really great way to, one, explore an institution that you've been a little bit curious about, but maybe don't know that much about, or two, explore an institution that you are really interested in and you just need that final push to kind of decide, okay, this is the place for me. I can really see myself here, or maybe I don't see myself here as much as I thought I did. So I would really encourage you to think about it more from the point of view of how it will benefit you personally as you begin that college search process. I am hesitant to say whether that being present on your college application would make or break your admission. It's likely it wouldn't really influence it one way or the other. But again, that can really vary depending on the institution. I know I personally would look at an application, and if I saw someone who had attended a summer program, I would think, oh, that's really great for them that they got to have that experience. It looks like they got something really meaningful out of that. So it could vary based on the institution. But I would pursue a pre-college program more for your benefit personally than to benefit your college application process, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks, Kelsey. John Palmer, next question is for you. What advice do you have for students in applying these programs who want to discuss their rurality or talk about the rural experience in their application? What advice or tips do you have for those students as they're navigating talking about their rural backgrounds in their essays or in different parts of their application?
Yeah, it's a great question. We really encourage you to reflect on what it means to be in a rural area or in a small town. I know a few of us that are panelists today all grew up in rural areas of small towns, and I can think of many times when we've been talking to each other and we said, I didn't really know that I was in a rural area, right? I was just insert my area here, right? For Kelsey, Southwest Missouri, for me, Southern Illinois. So maybe now's the first time for you to really reflect on what it means to be from your area and embed that within your application in some way. So within your essay, again, I think it's just reflecting on your experience and making sure that you're letting us know what does it look like for you to live in whatever the part of the country that is. Also think about that in terms of activities. Kind of earlier, I was talking about making sure that you're being really inclusive with the activities that you're part of. We know that growing up in a rural area or a small town, you may have different things that you do on a day-to-day basis. You will have different things you do on a day-to-day basis than someone that's from the suburbs or from the city. Maybe that is commuting to your high school, right? My high school is about 17 miles away from my house. Maybe that's work that you have at home. Maybe you grew up on a farm. Think about that. And think about how your environment has really affected you whenever you're going through that application process. And I think you'll see with a lot of these programs, especially these programs that are rural specific summer programs, the programming, the content that you're getting is really designed to help you think about that even deeper and really reflect on reality and how that can play a part within the application process to a college or university once you go into your senior year.
Thanks, John Palmer. I will pass the next question off to Margie. So I know each program is different, and each program has different requirements and different nuances. But in general, Margie, what would you say? Who qualifies for these programs, and how do you figure out the requirements for each program?
Yes, very good question. One of the links that I put in the chat might be helpful when you're thinking about like, what do we mean when we're talking about rural and small town? And it's basically a map that has been divvied up into different areas according to the National Center for Education Statistics in the federal government. So according to them, population size, population density, distance away from urban centers, things like that, they determine whether your area is a city, a suburb, a town, or a rural area. Now, if you plug in your home address or your school address and it's coming up as rural or town, that's usually a really good sign that these programs you're going to be eligible for these kinds of programs. Now, if you are plugging your information in there and it's not coming up as rural or town, I was just answering this for another student, there are still tons of opportunities out there. There are fly-in programs, there are visit days, there are summer programs, and some of them do come with funding associated, but you might not be the priority for these programs because we're looking for students coming from smaller areas or more rural areas. So keep that in mind, use those resources, check out that map, plug things in. Then when we get to questions like, I think the next most common question tends to be financial aid. So some of the programs, there's no financial aid application. If you apply and you're admitted that program, done. You're good. You're fully covered. They are going to cover every single thing for you. So you don't need to put any money down. There are some programs where, and you're going to see this, I think, for a lot of the longer programs, especially, you are going to need to fill out that financial aid application. And that's going to help the university kind of figure out whether, first of all, whether they can cover the full cost, or secondly, if they can cover the cost of travel. So that tends to be the variable that is not always automatically covered. And depending on where you're coming from, that can be a really big cost. So if you're coming to Chicago from Alaska, right, that tends to be a more expensive flight than Chicago from the St. Louis area. So it is definitely the kind of thing that you want to cross all your T's, dot all your I's. They just want to make sure they're able to cover the cost of your travel. And so they're asking you to fill out that financial aid application. For the University of Chicago this year, you're going to see something a little bit different than you might have seen in other years for the Emerging Rural Leaders programs. And part of the reason we were able to expand to 3 programs is that we are asking students to fill out the financial aid application. And then we're giving 2 kind of buckets. So if your family makes less than $60,000 per year, we automatically cover the cost of your travel. If your family makes less than $120,000 per year, we automatically cover the full cost of the program, but travel may or may not be included. You can ask basically at that point. And then if you're above 120,000, it's a sliding scale. And we can share more information about that. But it is the kind of thing that some schools are going to ask you to fill out a financial aid application. Some schools are not. At the end of the day, we want to fully fund as many of these students as possible. And when we say fully fund, we mean not just the program, but also the cost of the travel to and from the program, because that can be prohibitive for a lot of students. I think those are the 2 big things I wanted to mention.
Brittany.
Well, Brittany's got something to add there.
Yes, I did just want to add in, even though we have to, if you feel like you're not from a small town or a rural community, that's what visit days and open houses are for. So just making sure like there's no stigma, like not stigma, but there's no like parameters around where you're from to do a visit day or visit an open house. It's open to everyone. If the university that you're interested in or the college you're interested in is a public institution, you can literally walk on campus on a Saturday with your friends and just walk around doing a self-guided tour. That's what me and my friends did. So there's different ways to get around to come and see the campus of a college that you are seriously interested in. So please don't feel discouraged if you don't feel you live in a small town or rural community, because there's ways to still visit campus as well.
There are two more questions I can take for us as we kind of close out this panel. The first one asks if there was a pre-college program or a fly-in program on one of our slide decks that was not discussed tonight, how to find more info. My colleague John Palmer answered that beautifully on another question, but the website that we shared for the events and the pre-college programs happening hosted by the STARS College Network, that website will always show programs as the applications go live. So for example, you will see that Startup by Northwestern is not on there quite yet, but will be on there once it goes live. So if there's a pre-college program happening by a STARS school that includes or is for rural and small town students, it'll be added to our events page of the STARS College Network once the application goes live. So stay tuned, keep checking back in. I think as Kelsey from Northwestern said, the startup application will go live next week, and so it should be on the website very shortly. Same with the program at Notre Dame, etc. So those will be on the website once the applications go live. And then a great question about Marjorie actually already answered it. So basically the question was, my school is in a rural area. However, my home address is classified as a suburb. Should I use my home address or my school address? As Margie said, yes, we use both, so you can qualify based on either one. So most of our schools will consider both high school address and your home address. So if, for instance, your high school is rural, but your home is not, then you still qualify. If your home is rural, but your high school is not, you would still qualify. So you would take consideration both your home and your school address into consideration for how we classify and define rural to help determine if you are a rural student or not by our definitions. But as Brittany has shared, there are many other options for students, whether you do classify as rural or not. Rurality is a very large bucket, as we all know, and so it's hard to really define what that experience is. And so as Margie and Brittany shared, every school, every university has programs to support all students for visit days, open houses, campus tours, etc. And so we hope that you will take advantage of these programs in the summer and spring, but also other programs being hosted by other STAR schools and non-STAR schools. And lastly, that is it for us. This QR code goes to, again, the STARS College Network website, where you can learn more about our 32 member schools. Register for future programming, including virtual programming like this. As a reminder, they happen every single month. And we just put in the chat our YouTube channel. So all our past webinars are on our YouTube channel on an archive. And you also can learn more about Khan Academy, schoolhouse.world to advance your education and more. So thank you all for joining us. We hope we'll see you at our next webinar next month. And if you have any questions, please let us know.